There were a lot of MMOs at PAX, and even though Guild Wars 2 stole the show for me, I got a lot of emails asking about many other hotly anticipated online games. Rift, Plains of Talara, has a lot of hype behind it, although I think it might just be because of the smokin' hot booth babe, who obviously recognizes me. Here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with Rift. I actually had some fun with it, but honestly, if you played a full minute of Rift's gameplay side by side with World of Warcraft, I don't know that I could tell which is which. To me, it looked and felt like an exact carbon copy of WoW. Same type of characters, same type of quest, same type of landscapes, hell, same type of interface right down to the font. It's fine, I just didn't see anything distinctive or fresh that competes with the reigning MMO royalty in any way. There's really not that much to say about Torchlight 2, except that, it looks freaking awesome. The news here is really quite simple. The fans demanded online multiplayer, and, well, here it is. It's Torchlight! What more do you need to hear? Torchlight 2 will be available sometime in spring 2011. I don't really know why EVE Online was at PAX. I even asked them why, and they said something about a new trailer before claiming to be busy and just wandering off. I think it has something to do with a shooter in development set in the same universe called Dust 514, but I had to do research on my own to find that out. They were just there. But honestly, I sort of like the way they operated. See, I tried EVE Online a long time ago, and I told them that I found it to be a really intimidating, newbie-unfriendly game with a learning curve like the cliffs of insanity. And they just smiled and agreed completely with me. Life sucks, kid, grab a helmet. EVE Online is for the hardest of the hardcore. Kids who need hand-holding can fuck off. Then there's End of Nations, an MMO RTS. Sound weird? Yeah, it did to me too, so I checked it out. Hey guys, I'm here with Gary Wagner, and he is the lead producer, you said?
I'm the senior producer for Triumph Worlds for End of Nations.
Right, so he's going to show us this really cool game that I saw just passing by that apparently is a massively multiplayer online real-time strategy game.
Absolutely.
Which really blew my mind, and I'll get to that in a second, but he can show us the basics of the gameplay.
Sure. Just wanted to make a quick comment that Petroglyph Games is developing End of Nations, and they're the guys that developed the original Command & Conquer and Red Alert series, as well as the very first RTS game, Dune 2. So you'll notice that the countries are cut up into different territories. This is our metagame. So you join a side, you pick a faction, and then you fight for your faction. So a number of battles will take place on each territory, and then when you get to a certain number of wins, the territory will flip, and the more territory you gain, the more buffs and bonuses that you get for your side. The metagame will actually last from 1 to 2 months. There'll be end victory conditions, and then once the victory conditions are met, we'll restart the metagame. At that point, you can choose to stay with your faction or switch to another faction.
Yeah, okay, so there's not so much a storyline, but there is a persistent map that changes according to the tides of
Yes, it's the balance of power. We have the big storyline is in our PvE side of the game. The metagame is all about balance of power. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in here, and actually we have over 20 people outside playing, and we're going to jump in and just jump right into the battle here. All our battles are based on a point loadout system. Yeah. Each map has a certain point value, and each unit has a certain point value. So before you jump in, you know the point value of the map. You can pick as many units as you can, and while staying under the point total.
Yeah, that answers my first question. Was the big challenge for an online game is balance.
Is balance.
Because you can have players who have played this for years, and you think, well, if they got this, they're really high level, or they've got all these points, they've accumulated these super units. They still might have, but they have a point value as set.
Absolutely, and that's the designers made it purposely like that, so that you as a higher level player could actually still play with a lower level player. I might bring in a lot of units totaling 1,000 points. You might bring in one mega unit for 1,000 points and try and do as much damage as you can.
Yeah, okay. So that was the big question I answered.
So we're going to have guilds, real robust guild system. We have a news ticker in the war room so that if your guilds or friends are in the game, you can actually click on the news ticker. It'll take you into observer mode. You can see what they're doing. If they need help, you can jump right in and help them out. This is just one of many maps that we have, and this can actually support just over 50 players on this map.
50 on one map?
Yeah. And so the limit isn't now the number of players, it's really what is fun, right? So we're focused on what's fun as opposed to, oh, we can have 75 players on this map. But what we really want to do is we really want to push the RTS genre forward. We feel like it really needs that. It's possibly been stagnating.
That's what I like to hear. That's what I wanted to see from E3. Was I saw so many remakes of games, so many sequels to games that were just like mission packs. And I was like, what's new? What's innovative in here? And so this is really what I like to see in games, is that people are really trying to push the boundaries of what is possible.
Yeah, and we really are. It's a huge project, but we're just like go for the gusto, right? Mm-hmm. You only have a certain amount of games you can make during the course of your career, and this is, we feel, I know it's overused, but we feel it's a real groundbreaking game, and just really happy to be part of it.
All right, so my last question is, I know you guys were actually offering beta invitations.
Oh, yes.
But when will people be able to sign on for a beta potentially, and when can we see this game in store shelves?
Well, we're looking at the 2011 to ship the game. Go to endofnations.com. You'll get all the information. There's great videos, screenshots, all the backstory, and then we'll be posting when the beta will be open. And since you guys are here, I'll throw you some beta keys as well, so you guys can jump in.
All right, well, thank you so much for showing me this game. This looks really fascinating.
My pleasure. And it's, everyone says, well, we need something new. Well, here's something new and different, and yet it's familiar to RTS players, and I think they'll really like it.
All right, well, thanks again. That's End of Nations. Check it out.
All right, rock on.
Hey, innovation! I love it! This might be a real surprise hit if it all comes together as promised. Lord of the Rings Online is going free to play, and Dungeons & Dragons Online announced a new update that will add half-elves and half-orcs to players' options. If that doesn't seem like much, it's really not. But I played DDO when it first started, and truth be told, I'm pretty impressed with how far it's come along. DDO answered most of my previous complaints and made the game much more solo-friendly. It actually feels like you're doing something now, instead of just cleaning rats out of people's basements for the first 3 levels of your career. I'm seriously considering checking out DDO again. Hey, free to play, man. You can't top that. Last up is a game simply called Terra, an MMORPG so devoted to fast, immediate, kick-ass battles, it's almost a massively multiplayer version of Monster Hunter, or maybe even Dynasty Warriors. It's an MMO that emphasizes targeting and tactical movement, and using teamwork to tackle a ton of different encounters, like groups of monsters and bosses with real-time attack patterns, almost like a console RPG. I played an exclusive behind closed doors demo, and was actually pretty impressed with it. I guess my first question is, you see so many games, so many MMOs out there, things like Guild Wars 2 and things like that, of course World of Warcraft. And so what I always like to tell my viewers when I'm talking about a new game is what sets it apart from all the other games that are coming out this year. What makes this game unique and exciting for gamers?
So what you're playing here is an MMO that has all the fixings that the other guys on the show floor have. But what we've done is we've replaced the combat system that's kind of been tried and true for MMOs that's been out for about the last 11 years, right? You target something, you hit auto attack, you hit your skills until one of you dies, and usually the person that has a higher level, better gear, or they're the rock to the scissor, they win, right? Well, we've replaced that combat system with a more action-oriented, controller-ish, kind of like a console game, action-based combat system. And when you think about what you do in the game, in an MMO, 80% of what you do is combat, right? So when we say combat, that's one word, but it really means a lot. 80% of the game changed. That's a totally different combat system.
Yeah, I mean, I just played a demo just now, and it was really awesome, where it kind of felt like I hate to almost call it an action RPG, because it felt like playing an action game, and I think that's always been one of those really sticky points for any online game. That's a real programming challenge, I would imagine, trying to get that kind of action and teamwork together. That's why they always make it turn-based, and so I imagine that presented its own unique problems.
Well, for the last 11 years, we've been following, when I say we, I mean any MMO developer, has been following this old combat system because it was based off of limitations of the internet in 1996, right? Yeah. We had an auto-attack system and a sticky targeting system because we could not do what Zelda was doing on Nintendo, or what was out in 99? I guess I could use something newer. We couldn't replicate that action combat system. And what we have here is the next generation of MMOs, really. I've been playing games for 11 years, and I'm working on Terra because this is a different experience. You just saw it, and anyone that comes here and plays it will see it.
Yeah, and what really struck me about this one is, and in the demo, they were really hammering hard on the fact that teamwork in this game is key. I believe there's 8 different classes, and so all these different classes have to work together and support one another. And without that, the whole thing kind of falls apart. The party has to succeed. It's only as strong as its weakest link. It almost seems like.
Absolutely, teamwork is really, really essential in our game. What class were you playing in there?
I was playing the Archer, Zane the Archer.
All right, so the Archer's a range damage dealer, and he's got some utility too. He's got like traps, so he can slow the enemy, snare the enemy, stun the enemy, knock the enemy down, but he's also dealing damage, right? One of our showcases is playing in there a priest. He's the healer of the group. And when we say you need teamwork, it's because we're not just targeting somebody and pressing the 1 key to heal them. He's verbally telling you, come near me, you need to be healed, you're low on health, come over here. And a ring will appear on the ground where you need to stand in the ring to get healed. There's a number of different healing mechanics, but the group orientation is super critical. Like, get behind the enemy, watch what the enemy's doing. They have tells. The Argon has this electrical storm that goes off when he's about to do a giant attack. If you don't get out of the way, you don't block, you don't heal and prepare for it, you're going to fail.
Yeah, exactly. What really struck me about this one, other than teamwork, was the fact that there was speed, and it felt like playing an action game because these bosses did have behaviors. They did have wind-up attacks. They had certain patterns of attacks. So you actually had to, instead of just hammering on the 1 key, like I remember in World of Warcraft, I always had that ritual where I was like 1 1 2 1 3 4 5 1 and just doing that pattern. It wasn't like that at all. I had all these various attacks. They all did different things. I had an area of, you had like a point defense attack to spring back the C key, the defense key. Had all that really cool stuff. So I guess I have to ask, how many players can form a group, or what's the ideal group size, do you think?
So right now we have 5 players for our groups. Like I said, our combat system is so different that it's the experience for 5 people is really fun, and it's difficult to add more players into it. So we're experimenting with possible larger groups, but right now it's 5.
Yeah, so, and I was talking about the teamwork, but is it possible to solo this game? Is there any real facilities for going on your own?
1 to 60.
1 to 60? So what about like huge groups now, like raids?
Like I had just specified, 5-man groups right now,
okay.
And we're experimenting with possibly increasing that. But we want to make sure the game's fun and not too chaotic. In there you probably just saw how different it was and chaotic the game can get with just 5 people. Never mind 40 or 20, right?
And so another really striking thing about this game, and probably the last thing I'll ask you about, is I believe it was David Noonan is the head writer for this game. And what can you tell me about that?
Well, David Noonan is a really well-known writing veteran in the space. He's providing, he's the lead writer for us, and he's providing a really rich storyline for the game. And he has a team under him that's providing unique stories for the Western game, which are then being brought to Korea and translated into Korean for their game. So we're not just localizing your game here.
Yeah.
We're writing key elements of the game and then providing them to the rest of the global launch of Terra.
Okay, that sounds good. So my last question for you is, when can we expect to play Terra? Like, everyone can get together and play this game.
Terra will be out next year, 2011.
Next year. Okay, so thank you very much for talking to me. No problem. And here's some footage from Terra.
The races of Terra were a living dream. Dreams of the gods. But that dream has become a nightmare. Evil runs rampant. And the gods do not lift a finger. Now is the time to put aside our differences. To show our strength. And to take action.
Well, that about does it for PAX, guys. There were a lot of other games, and I'll probably end up talking about them later, but those were the major features I recorded on the show floor. Other games like Dragon Age 2 were fun, but they didn't allow me to record anything from the demo. Wait, Gran Turismo 5? Yeah, sure, that'll be the day. Anyway, I've got to get back to my review stack. Hopefully you found this whole experiment educational, or at least I have given you some new games to look forward to. And if not, you better start sharpening your knives and practicing your kung fu, because I'll see you guys next at MagFest.